Overview: Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. When it comes to these three, there are a couple of key characters. They are Abraham, Sarah his wife, Hagar, who is the servant of Sarah, Isaac, and God. Abraham migrated from Ur to Babylon to Haran to Canaan, and lastly to Egypt, which was all a part of God's plan. Abraham, found in the book of Genesis, mainly found in chapters 11 through 25. He is also found in other books of the Bibles, such as 1 Chronicles, John, Psalms, Luke, Matthew, Romans, Galatians, Hebrews, Exodus, James, Deuteronomy, Nehemiah, along with a couple others. Abraham migrated from the land of Ur to Haran and then eventually to Egypt. God then spoke to Abraham and told him to go to a land that would be later revealed to him, and if he did so, he would be made the father of many nations. So Abraham picked up his life and his wife and left. Abraham, who was formerly known as Abram, had his name changed by God because his new name meant father of many nations, which was a part of the promise, which can be found in Genesis chapter 17, verse 3 through 5. Also in this chapter, to solidify the promise, God made him promise that all the men in his family would get circumcised, and as a result, would become the father of many nations, give him as many descendants as there were stars in the sky. The miraculous phenomenon with Abraham was the ram in the bush when he was preparing to sacrifice his son. Sarah, who was found in Genesis 11 through 23. Sarah, who was the wife of Abraham, also had a similar story to Abraham. She left and fled towards Egypt. Once she got halfway there, Pharaoh took her into his palace. God was mad at Pharaoh for taking her, so he plagued his household and himself. She was childless. She gave her maid to Abraham, and Abraham had a child by her named Ishmael. Sarah then began to despise Hagar because she was pregnant. She began to mistreat her. Hagar eventually flees. In chapter 17 of Genesis, God goes to Abraham and tells him that despite age, Sarah will give him a son. And in chapter 17, Sarah finally has his son. The miraculous phenomenon that Sarah had was she had a baby at age 90. After years of not being able to have a baby, she finally had one.
Hagar is found in Genesis 16 and Genesis 21. Hagar was an Egyptian handmaiden of Sarah, the first wife of Abraham. Sarah offered Hagar to Abraham because she couldn't bear children. When Hagar realized she was pregnant, she began to despise Sarah. Sarah sensed her attitude change and banished her from Abraham's settlement. Hagar fled into the desert and was approached by an angel of Yahweh at the well of a spring. He told her to go back to Sarah so that she may bear a child who shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen. Then she was told to call her son Ishmael. At the birth of Isaac, Abraham's second son, and Sarah's first son, Ishmael was seen mocking the newborn. Sarah told Abraham to cast away Hagar and Ishmael. Abraham gave Hagar bread and water and sent them into the wilderness of Beersheba. Wandering aimlessly, Hagar burst into tears. The Lord heard her cry and sent down an angel. The angel of God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water. He told her that God would make a great nation of Ishmael. Hagar and Ishmael were saved. Hagar found Ishmael a wife from Egypt, and they settled in the desert of Paran.